it took me maybe 3 or 4 hours to read the book, and then I like to read the first page, and then I said, I don't really understand anything. Throughout the book you will learn about 10 different laws that will help you to empower yourself. It also depicts the story of England, of the traditions that existed at that period. To tell the truth, I probably liked more the book. First of all, good day. So thank you for inviting me to participate in this project, and thank you for LRC for organizing this project. I think it's a very great idea. When it comes to myself, I like reading a lot of books. Although I don't always have time, but whenever I have time, I try to read for myself. Now, let me start first telling. First book that I want to describe is basically the first book that I read in English. It was back in 2002, if I'm not mistaken. So, and the book I got from the library, it was a book by Sidney Sheldon called Rage of Angels. The book was published in 1980 for the first time, and it's really extraordinary book. So it changed my attitude. And first time I started reading, I read first page with dictionary. So reading, and it took me maybe 3 or 4 hours to read the book, and then I like to read the first page, and then I said, I don't really understand anything, and I just put dictionary aside and started reading. And although I didn't know all the words, but the book was so interesting, full of suspense, and how the story evolved, so how it changed. So it was so interesting that I actually finished reading it in 1 week. So the book is about a young lady called Jennifer Gardner, who like at the beginning of the book, she starts her career as a lawyer, but then she gets involved in the trial. She's accused wrongly. Then she's saved by another person, by another lawyer who was responsible for the trial, Adam Warner. And so it's a story of love, crime, everything involved there. And the book in 1983 was even made into film. So that was beginning of my reading in English, which also led to reading other books by Sidney Sheldon. So he's one of my favorite writers, actually. In terms of reading for personal development, because in the latest years I've become more interested in reading about personal development books. And one of my favorite books is, actually I can show this one. It's called The Code of Extraordinary Mind. The book is by Vishen Lakhiani, who is the founder of Mind Valley, which is one of the top companies now, leading companies in the sphere of spirituality, personal development, and as a founder of the company Vishen, actually, Vishen's idea is about bringing education, changing education into a different level. So this book is, what it says is actually about, it makes you question everything in life, anything that you do in your life, starting from parenting, starting from education and ways of living. And throughout the book you will learn about 10 different laws that will help you to empower yourself. And the book, for example, starts with his own quote saying, in fact, I would be hesitant to call this a personal growth book. It's more of a personal disruption book. So the book forces you to rethink aspects of your life that may have been running on autopilot for years. And it is really extraordinary, and it changes the way you look at things. If you want to improve, I actually do really encourage you to read this book. Another book that I want to talk about that I read very recently is The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, so by Robin Sharma. It was published first in 1998, and the book is a fable. It's not a true story, but it tells about, like, the book is written from the perspective of the person who wants to improve his leadership skill and is facing the problems in his leadership. And he meets his old friend who has now become a monk, so Julian, who used to be a lawyer himself, but then his life was he was so busy and so involved in his work that he almost finishes his life like suicide, right? But then he decides to change his life and travels to India, lives with monks, and as in the story, he says that he met Yogi Raman, who taught him leadership skills. So although the book says that it's about leadership skills, great leadership qualities, I think that it's also about the way of living, the way how to improve your own life. So it describes 7 virtues required for a life of inner peace, joy, wealth, and spiritual gifts. One more book that I want to talk about is mostly for recreational purposes. It's classic. It's Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. So the book first was published in 1813 in 3 volumes. And since the time it was first published, it was met very well by critics, by readers. It has always been popular with readers. It's classic of English literature, and it tells the story of Elizabeth Bennet and Fitzgerald Darcy, right? So who was a rich aristocratic landowner. It's very interesting book in a way that where the pride and of like both of them are very proud people, right? So, and both of them have prejudice against each other. But at the same time, throughout as the story evolves, we see the conflicts that happen between them, how they make assumptions about each other. It also depicts the story of England, of the traditions that existed at that period. It was made into film several times. I've seen the film made in 2005 with Keira Knightley, and I read the book later on. To tell the truth, I probably liked more the book. So although the film is also interesting. And interestingly, this book, Pride and Prejudice, actually led creation of many other books that were written on the, like similar to this, right? For example, the famous bestseller Bridget Jones' Diary by Helen Fielding was also based exactly on the Pride and Prejudice. These are some of the books that I wanted to review, but besides that, as I said, I also like reading a lot of other books, especially for recreation, like Harry Potter books. I've read all of them, and Dan Brown's Da Vinci Code, right? So basically, for example, Da Vinci Code was one of the things where most of these books were made into film, right? And what I noticed is that, probably you will all agree with that books, when they are made into film, you will see that most of the topic is lost. And that was, for example, when I watched Da Vinci Code. So first I read the book, I was so inspired by the book, but then when I watched the film, I was like saying, I was lost and I couldn't understand what was going on. The film was so packed that they left out a lot of stuff from the book. So that's basically what I wanted to share with you. Read books, as it was said that books are the best friends. Be friends with books and you will never be sorry of that. Thank you very much.